Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine and this is my booktube corner. And so for this video, I'm going to be talking about some series that I want to read next year or in December, kind of whenever I start to get into them. I sort of started to realize that I was posting videos every 2 or 3 weeks, which is fine. I guess that's the consistency that I have been doing this. But with the new year coming up and resolutions and self-improvement in mind, I decided that I'm going to strive to do at least 1 to 2 videos every week. I'm going to start upping my game with that because honestly, reading is my self-care, and if I'm not reading, then I'm not taking care of myself like I want to be, because that's sort of how I take care of myself. And I feel like pushing myself to do something fun like a video or vlogging a reading experience or going through book series that I really enjoy is a great challenge and a healthy challenge for me to start reading a little bit more and having content, I guess, to put up. So for this video, I believe it's 6 books and a little bonus one at the end because I don't know a lot about it. I just realized that it exists, so we'll see. But these are the book series that I want to read or have some sort of video content attached to it. I do want to do some like reading vlogs of like me going through a week that maybe I have off of like school and work, and like I just have a week to myself, and see how far I can get into like a book series or something. I think that might be a fun idea. But so some of the books ideas that I have been getting into, the first one is The Wheel of Time, and this is by Robert Jordan. And this is sort of, I'm a library person, so these are all from the library, unless I got them really cheap. I only spend like $1 or $2 on books. I just don't have the luxury of buying books. And I saw somewhere where they were like, buying books and collecting books is a different hobby versus reading the books. And I could totally agree with that. I think buying books is a separate hobby than actually being a reader. And I know most people are probably both. Like, I know some people are like, well, I want my own copy because if something happens to like a library book, I feel guilty. Or I like to hold on to books for so long before I actually read them. Or I like to write in my books. All good for you. I don't have the funds to afford buying books like that for those reasons. So I always go to the library. I love the library. It's great. But The Wheel of Time is like 15 books long or something like that. So I definitely got this, is like, it's the world of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. So this is kind of like a guide to everything that's explained in the book. So I'm gonna give this a read first. I read like the prequel book. It's called New Spring. So it's kind of a book that was written 20 years before the first book starts. And it gives like a background to everything that happened, but it was written as if someone who never read the first book could read it and understand it, and also written in a way that if people who read the books read the prequel one, they get like answers from questions that they had when they were reading the books while they were coming out. So I thought it was a really good introductory book. I didn't get lost anywhere, which is kind of like the fear of like, this was a book written after a bunch of books came out and I'm gonna get lost in this world. And it was actually really nice. I didn't get lost. This is actually kind of explaining a few things in the first book though, because they talk about how like males and females have a different kind of the same magic. So this is definitely high fantasy. Most of these are definitely high fantasy. And the idea from this is that everything goes in like a circle. So something happens, and then by the time it becomes like a myth, and then it becomes a legend, and then people forget it happens, and then it happens again. And it like, no one knows how many times it's gone through this circle, hence Wheel of Time. And there's like a pattern and the loom of the world. It's kind of complex. It definitely has like a philosophy attached to it, but I'm really getting into it. So there is like a magical element, and the Aes Sedai are like kind of like I like to compare them to like priestesses because they seem pure in that way. I don't know how else to explain it, but they have their own kind of magic. Aes Sedai, they're like the female side, and then right now, because something happened during a battle and the males, they were fighting like the Dark One, and the males were tainted way back when. And so like males don't really have the magic the same way that the females had, but they used to. They're different but similar. It's interesting. But yeah, if you're into like magical stuff or like good versus evil, it seems like a very classic good versus evil story, a very chosen one trope. There's the dragon reborn, which is like the chosen one that's supposed to free, it seems like free everyone from like this situation that they're in. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm starting to get a little background on it, and I really liked the prequel, so I guess that's where we're moving on with that one. The next set of books that I want to read for videos for next year is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I did read The Hobbit back in middle school, and I was obsessed with the movies. I love that world and Middle Earth and all of it. Like I really liked it. But I never read the books, and I know his writing style is really hard to get into, which is, I kind of think why it was so hard for me to read it, especially when I got into this in middle school. The writing's really hard to get into, and my middle school mind obviously could not comprehend his writing. It wasn't happening. But I think now that I'm older, I think I have the mindset where I can like get used to his writing style and actually enjoy, I'm going to say books because it's broken down into different books, but I know it was meant to be one book at one point. I'm hoping I can get the copy where it's like all one book together, because honestly, even if it was meant to be one book, I like having multiple books together. I just like that, having like little story collections. So I do want to do a read on those. I am very interested to see Gimli and Legolas's relationship, because I could definitely tell the bromance by the end of the movies, but apparently in the books they're like more in-depth and absolutely hilarious. So that's kind of why I want to read them, is because I want to experience this bromance that I feel like I'm missing out on. So honestly, that's why I'm reading them. I think that it'll be great. I love the world. Maybe it'll answer some questions that I don't know about or know who to ask. So I think it'll be a great step towards my nerdiness in this situation. The next book series that I really want to read is called The Ash Princess. And I think it's a trilogy. Pretty sure it's just a trilogy. And I guess it was about this like fire princess, and then her kingdom gets like demolished, but she's kept as like a slave or a servant or something. And then it's about her coming out of the ashes and kind of reclaiming her identity. And that's by Laura Sebastian. So I don't know a whole lot about it besides that premise. I had a friend that I know in real life recommend it to me. So I'm kind of interested in that sense. I've been getting into a lot of high fantasy, and I think this is like a young adult like a YA fantasy, but it's okay because I think I have a lot of like adult things on here, which I'm usually not into adult fantasy, except for Lord of the Rings was kind of the one thing that I was into that was like older adult, but we'll see how it goes. And then the next set, which is another book that is another series that has like 12 or more books in it. I actually don't remember how many books there are in it, but it's the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. And I really loved the movie Interview with the Vampire, and I think reading it will be different, and I'm very interested to see more about Lestat in these books, and that's kind of what is motivating me to read them, because I haven't been reading much about vampires and stuff for a while. Although I've been feeling like I'm going to be getting into them. I really got turned off from vampires after Twilight kind of went big. And I kind of wish I hadn't, because I really like supernatural elements, and I feel like everything has vampires in it, which makes it hard for me to read it. But I think I'm gonna get back into it, and hopefully Anne Rice does that good. So yeah, vampires, Lestat, let's go. So that's kind of what motivated me to pick this, and I think it would be a really good binge book series to read come like September, October, because I know that it's like at least 12 books long, so I know it's going to take me a while to read all of them, but I want to read them in October, which means I would have to start them in September. So maybe that will be like my September, October, maybe November kind of goal. We'll see when we get there, because there's a lot of things that I want to read, and I'm sure I'm not going to be able to read them all because I am over ambitious and can never finish anything because I put too much on my plate, but that's a whole nother story. A whole nother New Year's resolution, I suppose. The next, I believe it's a trilogy as well. It's called The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and I don't know a whole lot about this book series, except obviously it's about a queen. I'm pretty sure there's some type of war. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of conflict. I heard a lot of people not liking the books. I don't have a whole lot of opinion on it. I would like to give the first book a try, just because I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I think it'll be okay. I don't think there was anything. I remember I read about it, but I can't remember what it was I read about it, and I remember thinking that it would be a cool story, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. So that will be one thing. I kind of, honestly, the title reminds me a lot about the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, so I don't think there was a relationship with Alice in Wonderland and the Red Queen, but that would be really cool. I'm pretty sure it was something about like the queens have like different colored blood, and she somehow gets into like the nobility world and their blood's a different color, and she's like someone from like a lower class system trying to move up in the world. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what it was about, but I can't remember for sure. And then the next set is A Darker Shade of Magic, and that's by V.E. Schwab, and I think that would be really cool. It's about this guy who can like, I'm pretty sure it was this guy that could teleport. It's like a trilogy though, but he could teleport between different worlds. Like there's the white world, there's like the gray world, it's like a red and black color world, and then like there's a black world, and that's where like darkness is trapped. And I don't remember everything about it besides the fact that it has magic, something about teleportation or like traveling, and saving the world kind of thing. So I think I'm going to like it. We'll see. And then the next book set that I want to read, because I have gotten loads of recommendation for the Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. Okay, sorry if I pronounced it wrong. It looks like it's spelled like really simple, but apparently my mouth does not want to say that word correctly. But the first book is The Name of the Wind, and I've heard a lot of great things about it. I definitely want to read it. I remember I got it a few months ago and I read a few chapters in it and I really liked it. It was just during a time when I was trying to get a lot of reading challenges done, and having an 800-page book is not good for a reading challenge or readathon or anything like that. So I ended up putting it on the back burner, and now I want to bring it back. I'm thinking that I want to read it like in March, because the covers definitely have like this, it's got this weird like cold vibe. Like when I look at them, I feel cold, but I don't feel like it's a winter book. So I want to read it like between winter and spring. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't entirely know what it's about. And when I ask people, they're kind of like, oh, well, you just got to read it. It's great. It's a really good book. You just got to read it. So I'm going to just try to read it. And so those were the 6 book series that I want to read in 2020. The bonus one that I kind of want to read is The Magician. So I just discovered The Magician's television series that I've been really into. Excuse the children. But I've been really into The Magician's TV show. And so I heard that it was a book series and a trilogy. So that would be another one that I would consider. I just found out it was a book series and I'm just getting into season 1. So I'm going to find out more about that. Excuse the children. All right, well, that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to go save my Christmas tree before my toddler destroys it. I'll see you guys next time.